Probably it will ask you to accept the recording. Okay. So if you haven't read the message yet, if you have a yoga block close by for later, that is great. And we will actually start standing. Find a most comfortable stand and just start shaking through your body from the toes to the head, through the arms, and use this also more to check in if you feel any tension anywhere in your body. Take a few deep exhales, maybe even exhale through your mouth. And then very slowly let the movement fade out. And then, like most of you know, you tuck the front and back, and you can twist the spine as much as you want. And let the movement fade out as well. And let's interlace the hands behind the head and neck. The elbows are closed, and you can use the weight of the arms to kind of start the rolling from the head all the way down. And roll through the spine all the way up. On the highest point, you can bring the elbows back. 2 more times. Let the arms be heavy, roll through the spine. Push into the feet, roll back up, and open the elbows to the back, squeeze the shoulder blades together. 1 more. And then just let the arms come to the side. Find a stance that's a little bit wider than hip width apart and just slide alongside of the body. And you can go each time a little bit higher with the opposite arm. Maybe you can go all the way to the armpit. Or maybe it feels good to reach all the way over the head. And then you can stay on one side, but bring the hand behind the head and just rotate the elbow open and close it a bit to the chest. So we get the rib, the side of the rib moving a bit. Bring it up. Same on the other side. Left hand behind the head. Open and close in your own time. Just gonna check. The ribs move. And then release. Come all the way back into a forward fold. In your forward fold, keep the hands underneath the shoulders and just come onto the toes and see if you can touch the knees to the back of your arms. And then bend the arms, let the head hang heavy. 2 more times, come onto the toes, bend the knees, touch the back of the arms. Exhale, elbows to the side, feet planted. 1 more. And then come all the way down into a squat. And just use the forearms on the inside of your legs to kind of push a bit from right to left. You can also find different spots alongside of your thighs. Maybe you feel some sore muscles there. And then left hand to the left knee, and you can kind of push the knee in and out. Same on the other side. And you use as much or little that you feel good in your own hips. And then we take a similar action to the wall. You bring your whole body with the back to the wall and the knees are out, going over your toes. All I want you to do is trying to press your ribs and your lower back into the wall, reaching the arms up and just going a few times up and down the wall. Ideally, your back is not leaving the wall. And for some of us that have a very good hip mobility, we can go quite low. For some, it's a very tiny movement. Try to make this about the alignment on the back. So what we want is, instead of being here, really putting the tailbone in and having a nice flat spine. And 5 times sliding up and down is good. You should feel that very quickly in your hips. Looks great. And maybe when you come up, you just use some soft fists and clap the outside of your leg. Move down the screen. You can come back to the floor. We will move in and out of tabletop and child's pose for a few. Get gentle weight into the wrists, roll back through the spine. Feel, where's the edge? Where do you feel your hands rooted on the ground? And then stay in a tabletop and just walk your hands in all directions. And it can be a bit more forward, it can be sideways. The rotation of the wrist can be different in the right and left hand. And then take your thumb and your pointer finger, so you make this big shape, and start rolling in a little circle from right to left. If it's too uncomfortable, you can also just go forward and back. And then turn the fingers out, heel of the hand connects. Lift the heel of the hand, including the thumb, and slowly bring it down. Just for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then one hand back, one hand forward, and just do one round of cat-cow here. Now we switch. So your left hand is going back if you did the same side than me. Then release, shake out the wrists for a moment. If you have your block nearby, grab it so we can just put it under the back of the knees. If it's too uncomfortable, you can also put a pillow or a towel. The hands are also on the height of the block, and you can start with straightening one leg at a time by really pushing the back of the knees into the block. Nothing changes in the torso. If this works well, you can do both legs at the same time, or you can also bring the hands forward, then you add a little bit more weight and lift the legs towards the hands. We'll do 5 of those here. And then in the last one, just drop your body on top of your bent knees. Release the back of the neck. And roll yourself back up. Take the block in between your knees. I like to use it the short way. If it feels better to be a bit wider, you can, but if you are closer, you need to engage the inner thighs more. Rotation of the hands, for me, the easiest is going out. If you have good flexibility, flexible shoulders, maybe you want to go forward. But the idea is that we are able to roll the shoulders back by squeezing the block. We squeeze the inner thighs and lifting back with the hips up, shoulders back. And then keep the butt lifted as you swing back. Keep squeezing the block and hips up. So we're going in between reverse tabletop and our forward fold, just for 3, 2, and then the last one you can come sitting down. Take the block outside of your foot, any height that you want. Start with the lowest. If you already have experience with lifting your legs, you can go high. The hands do want to support a bit for the stability, but not so much that you have to lift up. So I like to be on fingertips. You lift the leg high and try to cross it over the block and bring it back in. Show it once from the front as well. Block is outside. We start with the legs together, lift it up and over. I'll try to do 5 on the right. And after you've done your 5 on the side, you switch the block to the other side. There is an action where we really try to pull the leg into the hip socket. We lift it up and that allows us to lift over. So rather make it slow and controlled. After you've done your repetitions here, just windshield wipe the legs from right to left. Check out the engagement in your legs. Let's put the block to the side and go to the core. We reach the arms overhead, the knees are in a tuck, and we try to catch the outside of the legs. Make sure the knees stay on top of the hips. You want to go to the outside of the ankles. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Open the legs into a straddle and try to go in between your legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now legs are straight up to the ceiling, still on top of the hip. Try to go towards the toes. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring the knees in. A little circle from right to left with your knees to massage your spine. Pull behind the legs. Take momentum to come all the way back up. We'll find our tabletop. Reaching the right arm close to the ears. Keep reaching forward, and in this position, try to lift your right arm 5 times up. Thumb lifted. Think of reaching forward and up to activate the back of the shoulders. Try the exact same thing on the other side. Try to create length. Try not to twist in your spine. And now we use the outside butt and hip to help our flexibility and mobility in our legs. So it's the same tabletop. You lift the leg out to the side and lift it up. The idea is not to twist, to imagine the leg as higher. The idea is to have equal amount of weight in the hand as you lift. Also, this hip shouldn't shift a lot to the side. So keep it in, and maybe that just means hovering the foot, totally fine, as you feel working the outside of the glutes. Same here, we just do 5 on the right and 5 on the left. So I'm going to show it from here. I keep my spine active and straight. That's not going through arch and momentum. It's having the same alignment in the spine. Very nice. The neck Can be nice and long. That usually also helps with lifting the leg. Okay. We will slowly go towards handstands. I usually like to give you one drill and then we do something upside down where I will also show different levels. I said that in the beginning, you adjust the practice to your level and take as many breaks as you want. So for this one, we start in our plank position. Make sure you feel the weight in your whole hand as you walk forward. Go as much forward as the shoulders are not moving forward. So maybe that's here, maybe that's here. And then you want to bend the knee towards the back of the arm and then try to tap your toe towards your forearm, but start with the bent leg and then go to the other side and walk back. I just want you to do that 3 times, meaning you walk the plank forward, you find the compression in the core, you tap right and left, you walk it back and repeat. Gonna look. Feel the shoulders over the wrist. Very nice. Shoulders a bit more forward, Eric. Yes, better. Nice. That's it. To do it right, you should feel that in your core. Very fast. And I also like the drill to see where my head and neck alignment is. When something gets hard, we tend to stick our head out a lot. So you can use the exercise that is not in your handstand yet to work on that same thing. Yeah, without having the handstand. Okay, if you are already done with that, you can do the same walking up your wall. So you walk your feet up the wall and maybe you stay here. Maybe it feels good to walk all the way in. Maybe you even, when you're all the way in, want to have a second to float off the legs. But I want you to save enough energy to come forward. And maybe you do 1 repetition and come down and do another one, or you do 2 or 3 in one. Depends a bit where you are in your practice tonight. I will come watch you, do it slow, and you go only as close as you feel good. Ideally, kind of what you did in the plank too. You want to be straight in your line, not so much shimmying the hips right to left. Nice. Looks really good. Keep the legs together, feel the alignment. And I'd rather have you taking a break and really reset your body and your breath to have good alignment for the next repetition. It's like walking on your hands with your whole body weight. It's also very good for learning when you kick up and fall out to make that step with your hand. Often we're scared to do it, but this exercise is really nice to just prepare your body for it. Give you one more rep if you want, or just have a sip of water. Next one, we do need our block again. So if you want to grab it already or have it close by. Back to an exercise where you're kind of in a forward fold, but your hands are slightly forward and your feet are on the block. All I want you to do is lifting up one leg, doing a half circle to the side, and bringing it back. And then you can do the other side. So it's straight leg, externally rotate the leg, bring it back to straight, and bring it down. What I want you to observe is when we lift the leg straight, it's a neutral hip rotation. When we lift it out to the side, you feel how the thigh rotates out and how the body is wanting to twist. So keep it still in line and try to make it about the hip and just observe when the hip is straight and when it turns out. 3 on each leg is also totally enough. Think about keeping your neck nice and long. Make this about the outer hip, the push in the floor, and the core. Nice. Nice alignment, Emily. That alignment looks good for everyone. Super happy about that. It doesn't matter so much if you feel like the leg can't go so high. For me, it's more important that you understand the right actions in your body. So if you feel when the hip is going from neutral to the rotation and how you can bring it back and how you can keep the alignment in your hip, that's good enough to keep progressing from there. Different versions to try this upside down. For those of you who know how to kick up already, you can kick up and try to find both legs in the straddle and maybe just switch between kicking and straddle and finding exactly the same motion with like neutral hip and open hip. You can try this with the belly to the wall, finding one leg touching the wall and trying to go out with the leg and bringing it in, and then switch and do the other side. Try to just replicate what you felt in the drill in your handstands, and then we will move on from there. You can also try both, of course. You can try to do it once with the wall to feel it with more weight, and then do it without the wall. Yes. Very good. Take it slow. Really feel what's happening. Try to keep the hip on top of your shoulders. Super nice, everyone. Nice. What is also helpful for me as like a thought, when we open the legs, we want to think of still reaching up and making a big circle. So the difference would be I kick up and I kind of get heavy and sink, or I reach up and think of lengthening and really stretching out when I open into a straddle. And it feels a lot better for my alignment if I think of painting the biggest circle or really reaching up through the legs, even though when the leg opens, it feels like it's going down, but I still want to keep the length in my spine. Feel free to give that a try. And make sure you try both sides. Nice. The straddle usually invites us a bit to keep the ribs a bit more open. if you can keep the belly pulling back. Yes. Keep the head in the same place, Ivana. Where you kick up is great, and then try not to move it. Yes, better. Nice. Keep it there. Keep it there. Nice. And again, also all these exercises, if you don't have a lot of space, it's sometimes better to take the safe option. And then later, when the spring is fully there, try it in the park. I hit my foot so many times on my furniture. It's not worth it. But you can keep doing that, or you can use that exercise also to practice a bit falling out of your handstand. So you can either kick up and then try to use the straddle to do like a half cartwheel out, or you can do that with the wall. Be here and then leaning over with the leg and trying to go to the sides. I show it from the back as well. Let's see that I don't kick my own furniture. Here, I'm in the neutral rotation. I go out, and just by going out, usually it pulls me into a cartwheel. If I imagine drawing that circle behind my back, if I draw the circle to the belly, it pushes me back to the wall. So think of making the kick up behind your back, and as you go with the straddle also behind the back. You don't need the wall. Nice, Rebecca. That was a really good kick up. Keep the weight where you feel it in the hands. Nice. And yeah, depending how much space you have right and left, try, of course, both sides if just one side feels good. Do only one side. And then basically it's the same when you kick up and open into your straddle to kind of pause that little moment where your body wants to pull you in a cartwheel. So you just stop it earlier. Nice. Good. Reaching up, Josie. Looks great. Reaching up. Yes, nice. Cool. Free in the room. Super proud of you. Nice. Good. Shake it out for a moment. We will go back to the block and go a bit more into handstand alignment. I like to use the block to really understand the motion in the rib. You place the block just under the sacrum and reach the arms overhead. When I reach the legs forward and I don't do anything, my spine will make a curve. So now to lift my legs, I want to push the ribs back, and that lifts my legs. And I want you to really experience by pushing the ribs down and back that the legs will lift. It's not lifting the legs and activating this. This is not a straight handstand. So start by finding a long body, bring the legs all the way together, or if that is too heavy, slightly open. And then imagine someone, or you want to push your ribs into the back of the wall, but because there's a space, you will not reach the floor. Just pull the ribs back, 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 and now here you find one straight line. You have to try it a few times to understand. For me, it really feels like pushing the ribs into the back of the body. And because there's a negative space with the block, we can isolate this part a bit more. Try to not lift your legs. Try to really push your ribs back. Maybe it's just a little bit. It's a very unusual movement. And if you can, with that engagement, also still maintain your breath.
Jules, heben die Füße jetzt ein bisschen ab oder nicht?
Ja.
Bisschen schon, bisschen.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
gut, alles
So
klar.
the legs should lift because we activate the part of, yeah, you guys can't probably see well enough, but the legs go from here to here where they're in one line with the body.
I feel like when I activate the ribs, my legs are kind of not in a straight line. They're a little bit above me.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm in a straight line handstand and I pull the ribs in, feel like my legs, instead of being like this, they come a little bit to the front of the body too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that just like squeezing your glutes to draw those back, or?
I mean, I think when we activate the ribs actually too much, we end up in a little pike. So that's why this block drill is kind of nice to feel how much you actually have to do. It is not like a full crunch motion. It's more just like a pulling, right? Like it's really tiny. Like here, this is more the natural curve of the spine, and then I pull it back a bit. Like that's it. It's not this. So try to find how little you have to do to find the straight alignment. And because in handstands, we often over tense actually, or we're trying to engage our muscles so much that we have like a mini pike because we're doing too much core or something like that. So you can play around with that. And now, of course, I want you to try it in a straight handstand. I give you options too. So you can use your kicking up and try to just feel how little you have to do in your ribs. And maybe if you have even like do a shitty alignment and try to pull yourself just through the ribs into good alignment. You can do this with the belly to the wall too, like having just one leg touching the wall, try to feeling the ribs, and if it feels good, take the other leg away or switch legs in the air. It is really hard to feel that with the back to the wall because it invites us to keep this open. If you do the back to the wall, I would do it with the leg bent like this. It's hard to see for you if I'm turning the back, but I kick up and this leg is bent, so I can use the back leg and find this in the straight line, and then I could go up to straight. So these would be the 3 options to try to feel that in your straight handstand. Nice. Looks good. And it's just enough that you feel the center of the body is supporting the whole body. Very good. Nice. Looks great, Emily. Very nice, Ivana, too. Super straight, Claudia. And see really how little you kind of need to feel the same that you felt on the block. Nice. All kick ups are looking really good. I can see already before you kick up that you have the awareness in your ribs. Very nice, Eric. Nice. Yes. If you do it a tiny bit slower, Rebecca, I think you can stay. Just move the second leg slow. Feel the balance in your hands. Super straight, Josie. Super nice. Nice. All of you got so good. Didn't see you for so long, and everyone has such a beautiful alignment now. Nice, Ivana, good. Super nice. I don't know if that's more frustrating to hear or not, but I still work on my straight handstand alignment every day. I don't think it ever stops. But I think what is cool about that process, that's it, Rebecca, you have it. What's cool about this process is after we figured out the basics, then we can go a level deeper and feel like more subtle things, right? Like how little we move, how the weight of the hand can tell us where the rest of our body is. So I think it's always worth to like spend a couple minutes in your practice on just your alignment. And if you have someone from the outside watching you or taking a video of yourself to just look how the pieces are stacked on top of each other, is always worth it. We'll move on a little bit to having a strong foundation, but we want to play with having the legs a bit soft. I want to try the same on in a standing position first. So if we're in a straddle and nothing in our alignment, meaning from the hips and shoulders change, and we're bending the legs and straightening the legs, the isolation of the legs shouldn't affect the rest of our body. Kind of what we did when we did in the beginning, the squatting up and down. This part, shoulders and hips, stayed completely neutral. The amount we bend and extend didn't affect the rest of the structure. So let's try it also one time just on the block to feel how we can support the core as well. You can use the blocks and start with the knees bent, so it's a bit easier to push and engage the ribs. And then you just bend and extend, relax. The bent leg is usually a bit easier on the body than the fully straight legs. They have different pros and cons. With that in mind, you can either, if you know how to do your straddle jump already, jump into your straddle and just work on bending the knees, almost thinking like someone is like punching you in the back of the knees and then finding the straight legs. You can do this with the belly to the wall as well, finding your straddle a little higher than the hips, and then just bending the knees and straightening them out. When you bend the knees, maybe your feet also float off the wall, and when you straighten them, you touch the wall. I'm going to show one thing, just so you see it from the side. The tendency when we're in our straddle is arching, so take the time to round out your spine, and then get the legs from here to here. without using the arching of the spine. Any of these versions are fine. If you're tired on your hands, you can keep doing the floor drills. Yeah, nice. Ivana, before you lift off the hips, get the shoulders more in. Right now, your hips are a bit too much on the belly side and the shoulders are a bit forward. So think of getting the shoulders under so the hips go over. I'll show you from here. So right now you were here. No, wait, even further back. You were here with the shoulders slightly closed and the hips back. But you want to get the hips over and the shoulders under, and that makes your legs slide. From the side, it always looks a bit like the butt is behind the shoulders, but the hips are on top of the shoulders. Yes, that's much better. Nice, Ivana. Yes. Really good. Yes. Alignment was perfect. Nice. Nice, Eric. Keep squeezing the back of the shoulder blades. Yes. That was a fast fast correction, but you stayed up. Oh, nice. Really good. Whenever you need to make an adjustment, try to just move your body slowly there so you can keep standing up. Nice, Claudia. Extra challenge for you when you straighten your legs, really straighten them. Like there's still a micro bend in your knees when you straighten into your straddle, but use your very nice open straddle. Nice, Ivana. Good. Very nice jump. Trust it. You have it. Nice, Emily. Yes. Nice. So good. You worked a lot on your foundation. Really nice to see. Yeah. Nice, Claudia. That's it. Nice. Try to keep the lower back long, Rebecca. Versuch den unteren Rücken richtig schön lang zu lassen, auch wenn du die Beine beugst, sodass sich der Po quasi nach oben zieht. Nice, Josie. And the tendency is also that when we move the legs, we start moving the shoulders, but you all stayed very nice in the shoulders. So that's already good awareness and isolation because often we bend the legs and the shoulders want to go. So good job on that. Have one more go if you like, or have a little moment of break and stretch before we move on to the next exercise. Or also, if you have questions, feel free to ask questions. Nice, Josie. you're down already, maybe put the fingers towards your hips, roll the shoulders back, and just a few times bend the elbows and straighten the elbows to open the space of like the collarbones again. We push so much, we tend to close that space, but the more we close it, the more our shoulders stay rounded, and that also prevents us from doing a nice straight handstand. And you can also bend one elbow at a time. Then we just sit on our heels, but have the legs open. Need to wear different color clothes next time. Somehow I forgot that the sunset is so early. Take the hands on the knees and just push the chest forward and round the spine. Just 3 times, using the rounding of the spine to create space between the shoulder blades, and then using the length to open front of the chest. Okay, now let's take the block again. Put it under your hips. Start with the knees bent and hold your hands on the inside of the knees. Activate the core, and as you straighten the legs, you can kind of invite your knees to go down and invite the rotation. The rotation doesn't mean that you have to pull your legs to your body. It just means to kind of use the thigh, so the knee points down and the heel points up. And we can invite that rotation at the same time. I think of pushing my pelvis back so the legs stay in the same place and the pelvis straightens out. If I don't do this, then I end up in an arch. So the rotation creates also a nice flat spine. You can also play with letting it go and bringing it in to feel the difference. And again, you can use the help of the hands to invite that rotation a bit. You can try the same in your handstand if you use it with the wall to just feel the movement. You can kind of just rotate the knees up and down, and you will feel if the knees are open and pointing towards the wall, I'm arched. If the knees are pointing down, I automatically float off the wall because my body is in very good alignment to be in my straddle. And you can try same in your straddle, or kicking up and finding your straddle and seeing how the rotation of the legs actually helps you to create a nice alignment in the spine. If you want to use the back to the wall, you can kick up and find one leg in your straddle and then try to get the other leg into a straddle. But the back to the wall usually invites our body to arch. So I would always recommend to do the belly to the wall. Depending on your setup. Just think of pointing the knees down to the floor and reaching the heels up to the sky. Very nice. you want, you can also move between jumping into your straddle, continuing all the way up to straight, and seeing at what point does your straddle to open again, use the rotation to keep staying in your straddle. Jumping from two legs is too hard right now. Use the same entry we did in the beginning, kicking up and opening into the straddle. If you want to give that a try. Nice. Yes. Super nice, Emily. Think a bit more of pulling the navel back into the spine. That will help you. Yes, nice. That will give you a bit more integration for that drill. Yeah, now rotate the knees down. Genau. Roll einfach die Knie nach unten, Rebecca. Yes, super. Richtig gut. Ja, nur die Rotation von den Knien erlaubt es dir, da in einem guten Alignment zu sein. Voll gut. And I feel like there's like no bad try, because if we figured out this is the wrong rotation and we know what to not do, that's already great. And for those of you who do want to add to this, you can use that straddle alignment with the rotation also to move your hips a bit from side to side, but the rotation of the leg stays the same. And imagine still having that like really nice line here. If you want to try it not on your handstand, you can start with the back to the wall and also go from side to side. Like we just want to create that awareness where the ribs and the hips are touching. That would be if you feel like you have energy to level it up a bit more. Otherwise, just stay with your normal straddle or moving between straddle and straight. There are always just options. If you're tired, watching other people doing handstands is also nice. Yes. Try to use almost like a pulling action in the belly to get off the wall. If you work with the wall. Nice, Cloudy. Keep that nice extension. Really nice. Straighten your right knee a bit more. Yeah. Nice catch, Emily. Nice, good. I don't see such a pike. It was really nice and straight. I think now you figured out how much to pull the ribs. Actually, yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think I've been overdoing it, and then I'll like overdo the other way and clench my butt, or
exactly. Yeah, no, that was beautiful. And often like that overcorrection, if we do it slow, we feel kind of where the natural balance of the body is. If we do it really fast, then we just bounce from one edge to the other. So
okay.
Yeah, that was perfect.
Thank you.
The slower you can move, and I know like in the beginning we always do things very fast, and then we start to learn to relax our nervous system and be more relaxed also upside down, and then we start slowing things down. Nice, Ivana. Good correction. Nice. The slower you can go, the easier it is to feel where you are in space. Most handstands are not perfect when you jump into them. You just adjust them slowly to where they look perfect. Nice. Keep the weight in the hands where you start, Ivana. Like it was good, and then you moved yourself away from it. Remember what we talked about in that session? When you jump up, try not to push into this direction. Like stay in your hands and wait for the hips to go up. You can keep practicing what you're practicing. I just want to offer you one little leg flow if you want. You can kick up, touch the inside of your leg, and then go out to the side. Switch to kick, touch the inside of the leg, go back to your straddle. So we're moving between the L shape, the stack, and the straddle. L shape, stack, and straddle. If the three of them is too much, you can do one by one. You can kick up into an L shape, you can kick up into a stack, and you can kick up and open to straddle. That's totally fine. But just to offer you a little bit of variation to what we've done so far. Yeah, it's always good to practice with your hands first, that you know exactly what to do, or like we did earlier with the block, you can do it here too, to just get into your body what you're trying to do upside down. Or maybe you're just doing the legs on the floor because your arms are tired. That's totally fair. Nice. Same here. Move the legs slow so you don't lose the foundation. Once we add fancy things with the legs, we tend to lose our foundation. This one too, because we're moving from the legs or the hips going forward to out to the side. It's still the same topic from the beginning of class, that we have to avoid the hips twisting with us, even though the legs are changing the rotation. Nice. Nice, Eric. Better, Ivana. Good. Give you another couple minutes to do whatever you want to do. Either repeat something from class or keep doing what you're doing. Ask questions if you have them. Can be also just a moment to check in with yourself if you have more energy to do more handstands, or if it's maybe just enough for today. Very nice, Claudia. Super good control in the legs. Yeah. Nice catch, Emily. Nice. Let's have a little stretching session. Just to release a bit our legs and shoulders before we do the conditioning. So let's see how. From the hands a bit more forward in your tabletop, just go a few times from opening the shoulders and closing the shoulders. For me, it feels the best when I think of like pulling my hips back. And then stay in your child's pose, drop your head and neck. And still think of pulling your hips back and keeping your arms nice and long. And bring yourself back up. We'll do a half frog pose and half middle split where one leg is straight and one knee is bent in one line with your heel. You can be on your hands, you can be on your forearms, but what I care about is that you're not arching, that you still have a straight alignment in your spine, because we all have different flexibility. That is kind of distinguishing how low you can go, but the alignment is still handstand alignment. Often when we stretch a part in our body, we have the tension in our face or jaw, so keep relaxing your face, softening the muscles that you can. With support of the hands, try to come all the way back. Stay in your tabletop and just look over your right and left side a few times. And we do the same thing on the other side. Find your alignment, move slow into it. There's no rush, and find what works for you. Maybe you need a pillow under your knees. I know that can be quite intense. Really listen to what your body is telling you so you can be together on that journey with your body. No need to push. 3 more deep breaths. And then help yourself to come all the way back out. Take a moment on your hands and knees. Maybe move your knees in a circle. Loosening up the hip joint again. And then take a moment to just acknowledge where you feel tension in your body. Take your right arm up so you can grab your right elbow with your left wrist. Maybe that's enough, or maybe you want to lean over a bit to the side. What you don't want is like sitting the hips to the side. So you want to keep that whole length from the elbow over the side. Think of even pushing your elbow into the wrist and go just a bit to the side. We still want to kind of maintain that alignment. If I would be with the back to the wall, that I'm not twisting, that I'm really staying in one straight line and maintaining that. I actually don't need so much leaning over. Same on the other side. Think of lengthening, keeping the hips and the butt glued together when you go to the other side. Head also back in line with the spine. And release, roll out the shoulders, forward and back one time. We want to go into the conditioning. I show you first the options. One option would be you're going belly to wall and finding your alignment here with one leg up and one leg down. And you can either just stay here, that would be the easiest option. If you want to add some movement, you go with the leg out and back up, and what we did in the beginning, and then you do the same on the other side. If you want to do it without the wall, you're also welcome to do your L shape free in the room. You can stay here for 15 seconds, then you open to your straddle, stay here for 15 seconds, go back to your L shape on the other side, and then one more time the straddle, so we would have 1 minute. I will tell you the time and we will do it all together. You can do the same with the belly to the wall, also doing 50 seconds up, 15 seconds in the straddle. If you need to come down before that, also feel free to come down. Time here. Okay, let's get ready in 3, 2, and 1. Find good alignment, let the hands be rooted down into the ground. That's the most important thing for me. 15 seconds are already over. If you want to switch your leg shape, feel free to switch the leg shape. Very nice. Alignment looks really good. 30 seconds are over. Maybe you need to switch the leg if you haven't switched it yet. Keep the shoulders over the wrists. Keep breathing. Very nice. Keep the weight. Switch one more time. 15 more seconds. Almost there. Nice one, everyone. Just 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super nice. This should be hard, and especially after doing 1 hour of handstands. But if you keep doing it, you will feel next time it will be so much easier to keep trying new things. Let's see if you have your block still close by. Let's take the block on the highest setting, but still sideways. For some of you, maybe you need a second block because you have wider shoulders, but we want to get the elbows onto the block. And I tend the fingertips, and I like to play actually here with like arching and hollowing the spine, but the head and neck is nice and relaxed. Feel how the arch and hollow has an impact on the weight of the shoulders. If it doesn't feel good to have movement, then I would rather have you engaging the ribs and finding a straight spine than staying in an arch position that puts the shoulders into a hyper flexible place. So see what feels good. If it's too much with the bent elbows, you can put the hands straight on the block. Just take a few deep breaths. And also save some energy to come back out. To release that nice handstand muscle that we have under our armpits, you want to put your body with your armpit into the block. You can also support your head, and then you want to roll forward and back. I feel a lot more when I'm rolling to the back than to the front, but that might be different for everyone. I just want to show the front too. You really want to put your shoulder and hip in one line, because if you're here like not in one line, then I don't feel anything. So kind of like a side plank, but the floor is supporting you, elbow, shoulder, everything in one line, and you can support with the other hand in the front to not make it so painful. You feel like you don't need the support for the head, you can straighten the arm out. You want to do the same thing on the other side. If the rolling feels too much, you can also just give way to a space or to a point where you feel the tension. But this one, it's actually nicer to have a harder block, because then you can really use the edges of the block to release the muscle. Fill it out where it feels the best. And bring yourself back up. You can do this with or without the block. Your feet are as wide as your hips, and you can use the block to put under your head, for example, and bring the arms nice and long. Imagine you can place your belly onto your thighs, or maybe you can, but try to make the connection there. Maybe even close your eyes. Take a few moments to just observe your own practice today, observe all the little details that you found in your body being upside down. And then roll all the way back up. Any other stretch that your body is craving, you should totally give that to yourself.